We're limiting here to
Counterclockwise is yes.
yes, for a woman.
For a woman.
Okay, so we're going to ask the next question, what level? So I'm going to be turning these level dials. Well, level 1 is physical. It says no. Level 2 is mental. Mental. No. Level 3 is astral. No. Level 4 is astral. So level 4, we have to start now. People interested in purchasing, we have different numbers, rates for levels. So now I put on the rate for that level 4 is 85404. So I put down here 85404. Right here. 8. I'll go backwards. 8. 5. Wait a minute. I'm 8. I'm looking at it backwards. 85404. 8. So what we do is here, we put 85404. Okay, now we go. Now we're level 4. We're going to get some information. Okay. Now, what information do we want? Okay, then I'll do it. Okay, all right. I'm trying to get some assistance. All right. We want to know if we can converse with this woman. I think you asked it. What was that question?
Is this a tail specialist?
Okay, now, this is the one I'm sorry. Okay. Now, we got, we're going to, now at this moment we're dealing with the subconscious faculty of this person. The deep insides, okay? All right, now, let's ask the question. Can we talk to you right this moment? It says yes. Now, we'll ask her if she can use help, and I'm going to show you how we're going to send the help. Watch this. Now, are you willing to accept the help that we're sending you, or we'll send you? So we're saying yes. All right. Okay? All right. Now, okay. Would you be willing to, would the body, mind, spirit be willing to heal itself with this help? Will it be willing to heal itself with this help? Okay. Now, if I send you the things that you need, she's a, what again? Psychotic? Yes. All right, now, here's the part we're dealing with. Now, we got to understand she's psychotic. What is your terminology for psychotic? And then we can work from there. Okay. She's got split personality?
So, she's out of control.
She's out of control. Okay, all right. So we're dealing now. Okay, interesting. So she's out of control. Okay. All right. So we want to put it back into balance.
Okay.
Okay. Do you realize, all right, now I'm talking to her, do you realize that you are out of control in a psychotic condition? Do you realize that you're out of control in a psychotic condition? She doesn't know she's out of control in a psychotic condition. There's your feedback right there. She's telling you that she doesn't know. So now we're at the point that she doesn't know she's like that. Now we ask her another question. We ask her, okay, are you willing to help yourself at this point? Are you willing to help yourself? Are you willing to help yourself? You repeat the question. Are you willing to help yourself? Well, watch how this thing is going. Now she says yes. Once she says yes, we have something to work with. She doesn't say yes, we can't work it. Now, if I send you a Christ consciousness rate, high energy, will that help? If I send you Christ consciousness, will that help? Will that help? Now, she says yes. We're getting the information from the deepest recesses of this woman's being, B-E-I-N-G. Not superficial. If you woke her up, if you spoke to her today, right this minute, she wouldn't know what you're talking about. We're going to right down deep in the core. Now, what we do now, at this point, now before we start with the broadcasting, I'm going to ask her what shape she's in right now. We haven't done any work, we're just getting information. There's a big difference between getting information and doing the work. We're just getting information. We're doing scientific work. What shape are you in right now? You're showing. Good or bad? All right? What shape are you in? How do you feel? Good or bad? She doesn't know.
That's the big problem.
All right, now I'm going to send them, so I can't get her, I'm going to send her a Christ consciousness rate, okay? What do we have over here? Where's that for? Here it is. Okay, here's Christ consciousness. Very powerful energy, okay? Now we're going to see what happens. And you get the feedback. You're there. Now I want you to know this goes beyond the speed of light. So as we do this, she's getting it. Okay? Now we put on here this number here, Christ consciousness, which is 9. All right, now what we do here, I'm going to take, see, if I had the bigger instrument, all right, I'll put it this way. I put 9, here's what I'll do, 9, 3, 939, 9394, 1994, 9, 5, 2, 4, 9, 3, 9. Now we just realized, we just found out she doesn't know what's happening with herself, right? She doesn't know. Let's find out if she, with this thing, she gets a little awakening, a little understanding what's happening with her. Now, at this moment, it's broadcasting to this woman here. This moment. Okay? Not this moment, lady. Not the time afterwards. Okay? Now, let's see if it's broadcasting at this moment. Now, we put this powerful rate on. Okay? There's your powerful rate. It's broadcasting this moment. Now, I'm going to let her broadcast for a minute or so, okay? Then I'm going to talk to her again. I'm going to ask her the same question I asked before. Remember we asked the question, she says, I don't know? We're going to ask the same question. Right now, we're sending energy to this woman. Powerful energy. My hand is still. The power of that pendulum is moving my, not my fingers, sort of my wrist action. Now, I could keep my hand here for an hour and it won't stop. That's how powerful this energy is. Believe it or not, this will not stop. That's how powerful. Now, let's get back to the woman, right?
Now, may I ask you a question now?
No, hold it. No. That's not right. Let me finish. You'll hold the question, okay? So the energy is going. Now, at this moment, I'm going to finish the thing, and you can ask all you want. The next thing we're going to ask her, if we're going to talk to her again, ask her if she knows who she is and what shape she is, all right? I'm going to leave that energy on there. I'm not taking it off. Now we'll talk to this woman. What was that question asked? Did she know what was, if she was, knew her problem? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you know what's happening? At this moment in time, are you aware of your condition? Yes or no? Watch this. What's it saying? We can talk to this woman now. Now, at this point, she's rational. I can get all the information I want from this woman. At this moment, I can ask her personal questions, anything I want to know, and she's balanced. Now, I'm not promising she's forever, but we've broken through. See that? Now, look at that swing. All right? We've broken through that barrier. Now you can ask questions. We don't have to know her name, and we can get information about this woman so we can further assist the healing.
If she wants some cooperation.
Huh?
If she wants some cooperation.
Now, we're going to ask at this point if she wants and needs cooperation, because you didn't get that before.
Yeah.
All right, so let's find out. Do you want cooperation and need cooperation at this time? She says yes. So we've broken the barrier. Okay? Now, she's depressed, right?
Yes.
She's very depressed. Let's see if she's, ask her if she's depressed at this moment. Are you feeling depression at this moment? Yes or no? Are you feeling depression? What's it saying?
No.
No. You cannot feel depression if you're being sapped by Christ consciousness. Impossible. You cannot be depressed in an energy that's high. Impossible to be depressed. So this is one of the techniques, and this is all channeled. I never did this before. He knows I go through all this stuff. I've never done this experiment before. It's all channel information. Hopefully you can remember it. I'm just saying. I never had this experiment before. Now you can ask the question.
Yes. If the patient has medication and you give her this energy, does the medication and the energy will make some reaction?
Let's ask her. I'm not a doctor. Let's ask the woman let's ask another way of asking. Does this interfere with medication? Okay. All right. Does sending broadcasting interfere with the medication you're under? Does it interfere with the medication that you're right now under? Yes or no? What's it doing?
Nothing.
No effect, and I'll tell you why. Channel cut. Because the energy is so strong that the medication has no power. Forget it. It's non-existent. When I went to the psychic surgeons out 10 years ago, you didn't see any insects, you didn't see any flies, nothing. No energy, no life, that type of life form can stay in that room. That was so powerful. Impossible. Impossible. Yes, you can ask your question.
Voy a hacer la pregunta en español, más o menos para tenerla. Cuando esa máquina está más o menos en alfa,
Instrument is in alpha.
perdona, pero no,
This is an alpha, theta, and delta, because we got the 12
no,
levels.
pero la pregunta es otra. La pregunta es que si el consciente colectivo, la subconsciencia colectiva y la supraconsciencia colectiva, ¿hay alguna influencia en el grupo que pueda influir en la máquina a nivel colectivo de la conciencia colectiva?
He wants to know if the collective subconscious of this group is helping what you're doing.
No. Tell them why, because we're only working off this plate.
Ah, sí. Porque lo que pasa es que allí está el nombre del paciente. Mientras usted estaba en el baño, me parece que fue que sucedió esto.
Sí.
Y con eso se está trabajando ahí.
Con la individualidad.
I'll tell you, we have another technique, though. He told me what to do. We can use the collective consciousness and put it on the plate, and we'll find out what's happening here.
It will be a psychiatrist of the 21, of the next century.
We're in the 21st century. This is the 21st century. You people are pioneers in this, whether you know it or not. You're sitting here for a reason, but if you don't know it, I'm telling you right now. Okay?
You think that is enough?
Huh? Yeah, that's fine. Well, thank you for coming. I'll see the people now. And you know what to do. I'm sure we can resolve it. Find a way to do Good luck in your research. Okay, Stephen. In other words, we have to find what level. You have to ask questions. He is questions. No questions. Because I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him. Let him do the talking.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Maurice Rothman, President and founder of the New England Society of Psychic Science Researchers Incorporated.
Nice to meet you all. We're here to give a story about of a wonderful healing, a fantastic healing that happened last September. I met Joe here, Joe Aiello, at the Harmonic Convergence last August. And in order to take up the time, being in the psychic science research field, I did palmistry. And during Joe's reading, Joe got a reading, and during his reading, unusual information came out, psychic information. And I was as impressed as he was. And after that particular meeting, I met Joe about a week later. I believe it was a week, right? So?
Yes.
Yeah, I met him a week later at his place right here in Cambridge, and he asked me if I could do a favor for him. And I said, if I can, I will. He said to me, I understand you have an instrument called radionics. And at this moment, he said, my mother is dying of cancer. And can you help me? Can you help her? I said, I can't guarantee anything. We really don't cure anything with radionics. We just experiment with it. It's a research instrument, but I'll do the best I can. And then I went back home, and I have an instrument with radionics. Also, I have an instrument called an oscillotron. It's developed by this famous Russian person by the name of Lakovsky that also broadcast healing, similar to the radionic equipment. So I proceeded at that moment to check his mother out, checking her subtle energy lines and see what's wrong. And surely enough, when I checked her out, using a photograph that Joe gave me, she did have cancer cells in her subtle energy lines that I detected. And so I immediately broadcasted on that wavelength on both my instruments. But I found out something very interesting. I found out that although her physical body was ill, that her sickness did not stem from her physical body alone. The energy lines in the physical body were weak, but they were not the cause of her illness. I discovered, using Dr. Copen, who was the inventor of this radionic equipment, I discovered that she was blocked, or she had problems in many, many levels. I don't know if I discussed this with you. I did, right. I found out that we went as high as 12 levels. Now, I may have to give you a little understanding of these levels. First level is physical, the second is mental, third is etheric, the fourth is astral, and then you have 8 other levels. And I found out that she was blocked. She had problems in high levels other than the first 1 or 2. So I immediately started broadcasting at all these levels, and I did it for 3 days and 3 nights continuously without stopping. On the 3rd day, which was on a Wednesday, I believe, I called Joe up and I said, Joe, how is your mother? Because I'm not getting any feedback or reaction. Everything seems to be quiet at this moment. And even then, at that time, he replied, she's much better. And at this moment in time, I'm turning over my story to Joe Aiello, who's the son of this woman who was sick.
Thank you, Dr. Rothman. You know, it's funny. I love my mother, and I see her in agony, and knowing that the doctors had said to me when I was at the hospital that the family liked to have the tubes taken out of her because she wasn't expecting to live. And immediately I said that I didn't want this done at all, and I thought there was other alternatives, and that they should continue to try and do the best that they can to keep her alive for as long as they can. And when I said that, I had in mind what Dr. Rothman had said in regards to the radionics. And I am into holistic healing in a natural state very deeply. And this is something that really fascinated, that was told to me by a very close friend of his prior to him getting here to Boston. So naturally I wanted to meet Dr. Rothman, and I wanted to speak to him specifically about radionics. But at the time that I was thinking this, it wasn't appropriate because of the fact that my mother wasn't ill. Now that my mother's ill, I want to know more about it in a very short period of time. So I made arrangements, and we met, and we talked about it, and I gave him all the information and the picture that he requested, and I did all the things that needed to be done to get my mother as comfortable as possible. You know, it's really strange because people have funny ideas and concepts about anything that's different other than regular medical information, you know. So, and it was funny, I'll tell you a little story about my father when I asked him for a picture of my mother, and I asked him specifically for a picture when she was at her happiest. And I think this has a lot to do with generating the radionic vibrations through the ear, because what it does, it picks up the vibrations of the feeling of the person in the picture at the time that it was taken. And I believe this very strongly, because it was funny that when I asked my father, I said, I need a picture of my mother, and he said, well, why do you need this picture? And, I said, because I'm going to broadcast radionics, and he says, that's absolutely crazy. It's little bit, it doesn't mean anything, you know. And I said, well, we have two choices. Either, you know, my mother and your wife dies, and we hopelessly sit back here and do nothing about it, or we try. And he said no more, and he went and he grabbed this picture, this specific picture of her. And I gave it to Dr. Rothman, and he put it on the machine, as he had said before, and broadcast through this radionics the healing mechanism for the levels that he had said that he had scanned through before. An interesting point, though, came about when my mother was brought upstairs from the emergency room to a room where all the patients were in this room and I didn't know this till later, that they were sort of on their deathbeds, you know, and this, here's my mother lying in here with tubes coming out of her in all directions, and people around her, and just the vibrations in the atmosphere, and it wasn't conducive to living at all. And I said, well, I think, and I had said to my father, I think they should move my mother to another room, and he said that was impossible because they didn't think that she was going to live through the next couple of days. When Dr. Rothman started broadcasting, well, just before he started broadcasting, I went to my mother and I told her what we were doing. She couldn't talk to me with all the tools, but she did understand through the love and the understanding that I generated through to her what I was doing and how I was doing it with the radionics, and she believed in it. She wanted to live, and I asked her that. I said, do you have the will to live? And she said, yes, I do. And she said that not in speech, but in gesture. So I said, okay, and we went on with the procedure. The doctor, and I spoke with her personal physician, and she said that she didn't think there was much hope, and only a miracle could bring my mother out of where she was at. She had a hole in her lung, the size of a golf ball, and they try to repair it and so forth. And it was done through the radiation treatments that they applied to the cancerous area. Well, they went on the next couple, 3 days. My mother started to get better. She started to, and it was funny because as she was getting better, she was throwing all this mucus, and they couldn't understand what this was coming out of her, you know, and they would go into the labs and test it and so forth. But it was mucus coming out of her body that were, in my estimation, poisons. She started to feel better. She started to get better. In 2 months, she walked out of the hospital. I mean, what more could you say? And the doctors are looking at each other, saying that it's an absolute miracle, and they didn't know why this actually happened. They could only put it in the hands of God, you know. And I think he had a little bit to do with it too, you know. So, but anyway, here we stand with the situation, you know. My mother walked out of the hospital, but let me go back to the room that she was in. All of the patients that she was in the room with died, every one of them. It was really strange that out of the 6 people who were in that room, my mother was the only one that walked out alive. And that says something of what belief, understanding, radionics, healing of all natures, people who believe prayers. I think a combination of all of it is part of radionics, I think, and it's sent through the airways to heal. But I'll go even further. You know, my mother's doing very well, and by the way, she no longer has cancer. So that's a treat in itself. She's coming back and she's healing, and she's looking forward to flying in an airplane to go to Europe, and I think that she's doing very well. I want to go back to Dr. Rothman in regards to some input that he would like to put into some things that he had spoken to my mother about. Dr. Rothman?
Okay. I want to mention, I failed to mention that before. When Joe first approached me and asked me to help his mother, first thing that came out of my mouth was ask her if she has the will to live. That seemed to be the key to the whole thing. I just want to bring a point out. The will to live is vital. And naturally, he went back to his mother and discovered that. Also, I want to bring out the point that radionics is similar to what we call absent healing, prayer, a lot of the things that Joe mentioned. And it's not as mystical as people may think it is. We're going into the 4th dimension now, which goes beyond time and space, so we need instruments of this sort. We have to give up some of the notions we have on healing, which are archaic. And as Joe mentioned, out of those 7 people in the ward that were dying, and the doctors gave them up as practically being dead carcasses, we have to be more compassionate. We've got to change our views, and we must give this new science the right to emerge. Now, I had the pleasure of speaking to his mother, delightful woman, and her vitality really was fantastic. And I asked her a few questions because she was there. I says, what Joe told me, is that correct? She says, yes. And she said, they gave up on me. He says, nothing can help you. They were so negative, the doctors were. They're so stuck in the mud, as you might say. But thank God that we're living in a time now that we don't have to depend on people with narrow minds who think they're gods in themselves. Now, at this point, I'd like to turn it back to Joe.
Well, I think why Dr. Rothman is turning it back over to me is because of an incident that I had gone through just recently, actually May 14th of 1988. And I was involved in an accident that resulted in, I don't know if you can get this on camera, Brenna, but this is the vehicle Turn it around? Turn it upside down? I can't see it right. There you go. This is the vehicle that I was in, that the steering wheel had crushed my chest. My hip was totally destroyed, disembarked from my body. It was really devastating, you know, and I was rushed to the hospital. It happened in Vermont. I was rushed to the hospital. I was brought into one hospital. They said they couldn't do anything for me, so they brought me to another hospital. My ribs were crushed. My chest had collapsed. My hip was broken, shattered. So they took me to this other hospital, and immediately they put me into intensive care, and they started to work on me the best way that they knew how, dealing with my problems. Because my chest had collapsed, they put tubes into me to release the pressure and so forth and so on. In taking x-rays, they discovered there was a problem in my chest, that the main aorta was torn a little bit and the chest cavity was filling up with blood. When they had taken the first photograph, which is called an x-ray, what happened was they found that possibly an inch of the cavity had blood in it. And they thought it to be a real serious problem, and they wanted to do some extensive dye tests to distinguish what was happening. They had said to me that it was very imperative that this happen. And they didn't say anything about the consequences of what would happen if I had this dye test. They just said that they thought that I needed this dye test and that I should have it done. So I said, okay, I'll have it done. So I went, they wheeled me down to this room and put me on this table. And I'm not the lightest guy. And there was about 10 guys trying to get me on this table, you know. And between my ribs and my hip and everything else, and I was full of morphine, you know, of course, and kind of babbling. I looked over and I saw this doctor who had these weird-looking glasses on, like tunnel vision, you know, and he was very young. And I said to him, "What are you doing here?" You know, and he says, "Well, we're going to do this dye test. You know, has nothing to worry about. There are two things that could happen, but we don't think it will happen. And one of them is you could have a stroke by having this dye test." And I says, "Well, you better get those other 10 guys to take me off this table and bring me back, because I refuse to have this dye test. Right now I have my total faculties about me, and I feel okay, and I want to call some friends of mine to discuss this with them." I thought that the bedside manner was terrible in the way that they approached this, because if they had said this to me at the room where I was, I would never agree to this until I had spoken to somebody else. They brought me back, and they were all bent out of shape about what I had done and how I interfered with their progress, you know, and so forth and so on. And they brought me back to the intensive care ward where I was, and my friend Cheryl Pizzi, who was the narrator at the beginning of this tape, was there, and I had said to her that I think she should call Dr. Rothman and another friend of mine to discuss what this problem was and see if we can't do anything with healing energies, because the doctors were saying that the second x-ray that they took, the chest cavity had filled up to halfway, and there would be a possibility that if it did rupture, I would be dead in a matter of seconds. Well, my friend Cheryl and was sort of a little, I mean, the pressure was put on her, and it wasn't the most happiest time of situation, but she did take it in stride and decided to call Dr. Rothman to find out if there was any input. She did. She called Dr. Rothman. He said that maybe he should describe this. Let me give it to Dr. Rothman.
Yeah, it was 11:30. I was in California. You were in Vermont. He called me up and said Joe is dying, and that shocked me. Dying from what? And she explained how his truck turned over and all this stuff, and he's filled up with blood and his chance of living. She said, "What should I do?" And this was 11:30 at night. And thank God I have a guide that's coming through right now, with energy, that sent the information to her that saved his life. And it's really simple, but powerful. And I can reveal it to you or anybody that's willing to listen. I realize that Cheryl is new at this so-called let's say, alpha information. Joe's been around this stuff a little longer than her, and so I said to Cheryl, I said, you have to go into alpha quickly. She says, no, I don't know what alpha is. So I said, you have to, similar to going into twilight state when you're going to sleep, I instructed her to count. So they say 50 to 1 and feel yourself going deeper and deeper. And I says, when you're in alpha, and you're really deep and you'll know it, flood him with white light. Flood him with white light. And that was the message. And interesting enough, I was calm after that. Now, I didn't hear a word from Joe for 2 weeks, but I put him on my visual screen, which is our third eye. I said, Joe, come in. He came in, he was smiling. So I know he made it. And 2 weeks later, Joe called me up. He says, I'm fine. And he related the whole story to me right down. He says, Cheryl came in, she worked on me, and I worked on myself. And lo and behold, the Almighty saved my life. Well, that's just about what happened, and well, Joe can discuss what he wants to. Yeah.
Let's get back to the X-rays. You know, it's funny. After Cheryl and I was lying in bed, and she said, Maurice had said, Dr. Rothman had said that we'll apply white light to the chest cavity. And she said, I'm going to put myself in an alpha state. I said, okay. And I said, I will work with you with the white light. So just tell me when you're ready. And we did. And we did it for about 5, maybe 6 minutes. And I could feel the surge of energy going into my chest. And I felt the healing process. It was really strange. And it's hard to explain, but, you know, I guess I'm the living proof. Here I am. You know, the thing is, but I felt the energy. But not only that, there was further proof that happened, because the doctors came in shortly after that, and they took another X-ray. And when they took the other X-ray, they came back to my room, and they were baffled. And they said to me, we don't understand that the blood in your chest cavity has shrunk back to the 1-inch portion. We don't know where it went to, have no idea, and there is X-rays that show this to be true. I, of course, didn't say anything. I just said, well, thank God, and I said my prayers that I was thankful that there are people out there at least have some concern for, you know, healing. The doctors were baffled. They didn't know how to deal with it. They gave me a release saying, because I wanted to have my hip operated in Boston, and I did, and there was a specific doctor that I wanted, and I got him, and he was the best that was available. And I'm in the healing process right now, and I use radionics for my healing process of my hip right now. And I'm walking around. Just past week ago. This date today is the 30th of September, and just 4 or 5 days ago, I was rolling around in the surf. So, you know, that goes to show you. Now, I think that's a total of 4 months and a busted hip. I am limping, but I do have the power to be able to still have fun and to enjoy life to its fullest. It does hurt. I use the radionics for the healing process more so than anything else. And that's about all I think I can say right now, and I'm very thankful to Dr. Rothman for introducing me to this whole process. Thank you.
I like to make a mention. I want to give credit to other people too. When Joe called, when she, what is her name? Cheryl called. I immediately called Geraldine, who is a good friend of mine, who is also a radionic specialist. And I called my brother, who also has an instrument, and I said, let's start broadcasting. And that one with my instruments. So we kept broadcasting for a whole week to send this healing process to keep working. So what I like to bring out and say is that, as you notice, this where we are today in Puerto Rico, I'm making a special mention of that because this is the first time that this will be shown, or the first time it will be shown, it will be in Puerto Rico, where we're setting up an affiliate to our society called the Psychic Science Researchers of Puerto Rico. And as you'll see, if you look at your brochure there, we do not charge for membership. It's free membership. We are strictly a network organization. And what is our purpose? Our purpose is to bring people together, similar to what we've done over here. There's no money attached to any of these things, where people are helping people. And this is living proof of how spirit works in truth, where it controls destiny of human beings.